So what is up, guys? So we have the XYZ event coming up, so I thought I'd do a little help for you guys so you guys can understand what you're probably going to see. And it's up to you guys if you do want to counter stuff. This is going to be on you to decide on the decks you made, or maybe you have made these decks beforehand. So to start us off is Lirals. These cards are actually used in Tri-Brigade. It's one of the more tier 1 decks, but since they're going to be limited to only overlay, and they technically have really good overlay units, especially this one, because this would stop a lot of the special summons, keeps pushing a special summon monster back into the hand. So if your opponent's playing a very heavy special summon overlay deck, you can definitely deal with that. This card does get stopped by negation effects, so keep that in mind if you negate this. So you can be playing Infinite Impermanence, which you can negate this, or Skill Drain, which you might be seeing a lot of because Eldritch will be joining that roster of people who have actually made Eldritch decks. This will actually prosper more in the XYZ event with more consistent win rate, since Eldritch doesn't really tap into his XYZ deck that much. He can technically use an XYZ deck. He can use Gustav Max, pitch 2,000 damage, ride another cannon, then he can ride on top with Zeus. Zeus is very important for XYZ decks now these days, especially when it comes to this event coming up. So the person who goes into Zeus pretty much can win their games with ease because Zeus board wipes, and Zodiacs is another one of those highly overlay decks. They overlay on top of each other. You have to have the proper Zodiac overlay deck for it, because you overlap these cards one at a time, and then once the final overlap is met, you go into Zeus. So Zeus has plenty of materials to detach and continuously do this effect, so he'll be fully loaded. But the only way to really stop Zeus is with Infinite Impermanence or a Skill Drain, so you have to be more mindful of that. So if you're going to be building decks to even counter some of the higher XYZ cards, you're going to want to use those types of cards. I threw Quan in here because I was actually a Quantum main, so the Super Quantal Magnet King. He's actually really good when it comes to playing against Eldritch. Turn 1. If you can summon this turn 1, you actually have the winning image, because Eldritch can't really bypass a 36k unit. Max attack you can go up to is 3,500, so if you deal with Eldritch, you can even return Eldritch back to the deck, so on and so forth, because Quantal has a lot of effect, and he's unaffected by cards, so he can survive more of Eldritch's floodgating. So that's why I'm throwing him as a little bit of a secret if you guys do want to play a Power Ranger deck, or something that just like says no to all the, bullshit. This card's good. But another thing I wanted to go over with you guys is definitely the left hand and right hand shark combo. Because of what left hand and right hand do, you can add a left-hand shark from your deck to your hand. If the card is in your graveyard and you control no monsters, you can special summon. So that's easy to special summon. Left-hand shark is, if this card is special summon from the graveyard, this card becomes a level 4. But you can only use each effect once per turn. If you control a right-hand shark and this card is in your hand or graveyard, you can special summon this card. So the whole point is, if this card is special summon, you can just overlay it away. But I don't see how you would use it. You wouldn't really use this, though. Scratch that. You wouldn't use that because this is a 4. This is a 3, and this card has to be special summoned from the graveyard for it to become a level 4, so you only wouldn't be getting this effect. But that's why Astral Karibo is going to be your backup for when you actually do play left-handed shark, or a level 4 in general. Astral Karibo is used in a lot of XYZ decks, especially when it comes to numbers. You can actually use this to your advantage, because Astral Karibo has an effect where your unit can't be destroyed by a battle or by your opponent's card effects. So he's a 2-for-1 sale when you overlay. That's another thing. You can reveal a monster and by its rank, so you can turn this into anything with if you're running number monster overlays, you can change this rank to a 4, so that way you can rank it over here onto right hand shark if necessary. But there are other level 4s you can summon. It's just this card's important and right hand shark is important to an extent. You just have to make sure one of these cards actually becomes an overlay unit. So it's between this guy and this guy. Both these guys need to hit their overlays. I mean, you can get this guy out with a Foolish Burial and then play this. Foolish Burial pitches a card to the graveyard. If you don't know, now you know. Full Exodia can pitch this 3. You can normal summon this. Then you can special summon this from the grave. And then you can overlay into this guy. So let's go over why this guy is here too. Because you can use this guy for your boy. That's right. I know you see Exodia up here. You can use it for Exodia. You can stall your opponent out the entire game unless they figure out they just have to run piercers. If they don't run piercers, then you're good to go. You'll just win with Exodia, and they'll just gonna have to wait till you just draw it all. The point of this card is this card always needs overlaid with Astral or the Hand Shark combo, because right now what this card does is, as long as you don't play a field, which is very easy not to do, just don't ever play cards on the field and you're good to go. This card is unaffected by other card effects. That means nothing can hurt this. The only thing is you have to summon this first before Skill Drain activates, because there are certain rules when it comes to these effects. If you get this guy out before Skill Drain, then this guy's thing will resolve, really. Which is good, but he will still maintain cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effect. So that's going to be good enough. You're just going to keep in defense the entire time. But that's what makes Astral Kuriboh good for that overlay session. Since Astral Kuriboh activates under the unit, you'll be good to go there as well. So make sure, if you don't know what you're playing against and you got to get this guy out beforehand, definitely go for it when you can. Usually you're not doing the once per turn detach a material, then this card gains 300. No, this guy's just here to block your opponent the entire game until you draw Exodia, which is actually really good. So yeah, once you get this guy out, the rest is just you just trying to draw Exodia. So I don't know if an Eldritch player might side deck more Kaijus, that's on them. So in case this guy comes out, Crooked Cook is very hard to counter. So yeah, unless you Kaiju it or a defense piercing, it's going to be a hard counter because this card will not leave the field anytime soon. Even with a skill drain, because if they skill drain next turn, this guy is already going to maintain the effects of cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. So pretty much you just have this big beat stick. You pretty much have this beat stick that's just there to block, and you have Exodia. Or you're there to draw pieces to fight Outlich, etc. It's like a lot of things you can do with this. But definitely Kaijus kill it. Monarchs can kill it, so if you're playing a Monarch deck, you can play that as well. I mean, most decks that run the XYZ deck can even use the pot cards. As you all know, the Pot of Desire and all that. Those cards that banish from the extra deck let you plus. You can do that as well, so maybe you're playing a deck that isn't really XYZ reliant. You just use it to banish cards so you can play your real units on the field that don't require the extra deck. But that's what Eldritch is all about. He doesn't even need the extra deck. He uses those draws like it's no tomorrow, which is really nice for him, and that's why he always gets some good plussing in. So that's why I thought I'd make this video, so when the event comes around, maybe you have some of these cards, and you can actually play against, you know, if you're going to take the tournament as serious as you think, and not for fun. This is the way to kind of do it, so you can be consistent on wins. But Cook does get the job done in a lot of settings with Exodia, so as long as you got the Astral Kuriboh combo prepped, you're pretty much good to go. And you can't be destroyed by battle or your opponent's card effects, but the whole point is this card is unaffected by everything, so you can bypass a lot of your opponent's other stuff, like Madolches and stuff like that. Like this card and Access Code Talker can't get rid of this either. So that's why it's very important. You play the Cook as soon as possible if you can get him out turn 1. That's actually the go-to for quick game. So if they're playing Skill Drain, Infinite Permanence, any of those traps that are trying to negate you, you'll be fine because you already did the summon, so you're good to go. Because I only say that because when I summoned Quantum Mech, when Skill Drain was out, his effect was negated. So cards that have the wording like this card's unaffected by other card effects, they have to be out before a Skill Drain resolves. That's what I learned which is a weird Yu-Gi-Oh thing, ruling that I got learned when you play. You start to learn these things. But yeah, definitely one of those is like a word ruling. So definitely, no matter what deck you face against, if you are playing a type of Crooked Cook deck, summon this as fast as possible, just so you can avoid a Skill Drain in the future. And then you're just going to keep drawing until you get to Exodia. If they Kaiju, they Kaiju. I mean, hey, they're side decking it. That's the best way to go about it. I mean, this video is mostly for tips on what cards you can be running and getting away with. Utopic Draco is easy to summon. He just needs 2 XYZ monsters, but you go into this first, and then you ride into this, and that's going to give you 3 negates, which is pretty good. This is only against monster effects, so you can spell it, but keep in mind this card can't be destroyed by card effects or by battle, which is crazy. So you can't write Geki it or any of that. Yep. Can't be destroyed in any shape or form. So when you go into this card's already kind of ready to go. So that's another thing to keep in mind. But Utopic can't stop the cook, and that's always good enough. So yeah. So like I said, you might see Yugioh. You're probably going to see some El Lich. You might just see Zodiacs just go into Zeus to have lots of materials to pitch. Or you might see that one random Quantum who actually was like, you know, I'm going to play this 36k beat stick and, you know, go ham. And also, having 6 materials denies your opponent search to add cards from the deck to the hand, but that doesn't stop floodgating. The whole point is it's just a big beat stick that can go over a lot of Eldritch's number game, just in case. And if he does do the rail cannon, you can just return the rail cannon back into the deck, so you don't have to fight it at all. So that's what makes, you know, this card good too, because it can bypass like, oh, you're getting a big beat stick. I'm just gonna return that. Then you can go back to trying to add cards to your hand. So depending on the outcome, you only need 4 materials just to be unaffected by card effects. So that gives you 2 returns depending on what your opponent is summoning or setting. So always be wary of that. That's why I recommended Quantum King for this video. So yeah, just keep in mind when playing, view your options. You could just make a plain Utopia deck with the ZW weapons. Don't know how consistent that can be, but that can also be good too. I mean, Utopia has always been like a decent unit, but this deck has been used more in Utopias. So yeah, just be more mindful of that. You can get away with a lot with that, so be ready for anything when it comes to Astral Karibo. There is a rank up magic that can go to a beyond Utopic state where you can summon any number monster from your extra deck. But that's like more advanced tech and possibly more mats you would have to spend. But definitely, if you can get the cook out, you're kind of good to go. For sure. Anyways, guys, that's all we have for you. I thought I'd give you a little heads up before this Wednesday when the thing drops. So you have a little bit of an idea of what to expect. So now you know what to do and build around, so you know what to fight. They're going to give us rentals. I mean, I'll test the rentals for like a video or something and see if they're decent. But if you build your own deck, you get more points. So there's that. But obviously, rental decks aren't always like, you know, the best thing in the world. But we'll see how it goes this Wednesday for sure. Thanks for watching, guys. Peace out. Oop.